Good evening, everybody. Once again, my name is Marcus Stevens. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that regular exercise is beneficial. However, did you know that a 30-minute walk every day can do more for your long-term health than the efforts of a dozen doctors and their medication? Well, according to an article in 24health.com, that's exactly what it does. So, okay, we all know that exercising regularly is beneficial. But do we know what the actual benefits are? Well, research done by the Harvard School of Public Health listed the following as benefits. It improves your chances of living longer. It helps protect you against heart disease, stroke, and developing high blood pressure. It helps you from preventing certain cancers like colon cancer and breast cancer. It helps prevent the development of type 2 diabetes. It also helps prevent the development of osteoporosis or bone loss. Many of you are thinking, well, I already knew those benefits. Well, here's some that you may not have known about. Exercising releases endorphins. Now, what that does is it alters your mood and it makes you a happier person. Researchers from the University of Carolina found that people who exercise regularly were 23% less likely to develop a cold than those who didn't. But when they did, their symptoms disappeared more rapidly. Now, most people associate asthma with exercising or working out. However, regular exercise can lessen the amount of asthma medication needed over time. It has anti-aging effects. And here's one you may not have known. It promotes brain health. Researchers from the University of Illinois found that brain responses in active seniors were comparable to those of active young adults. Now that you've heard some of the benefits, let's talk about what can happen if you don't exercise regularly. According to the Harvard School of Public Health, living a sedentary lifestyle, or basically sitting on your butt all day, has quite the opposite effect. It increases your chance of gaining weight and becoming obese, and is linked with the development of a number of chronic diseases. In 2001, research done by the CDC showed that inactivity was directly linked with more than 9 million cases of cardiovascular disease, and that people who were inactive had higher medical costs than those of active people. Another study done by the Nurses' Health Study also showed a direct correlation between television watching and obesity. Now, what they did is they followed 50,000 middle-aged women for 6 years. They studied their diets and activity. What they found was staggering. The research found that for every 2 hours spent sitting watching TV every day, the women had a 23% higher chance of becoming obese and a 14% higher chance of developing diabetes. But the longer they spent watching, the more those percentages rose. Still not convinced? Furthermore, recent research has shown a direct correlation between sitting, and that sitting can alter your metabolism in ways that promote obesity. All right, we've covered the benefits of exercising, and we've talked about what can happen if you don't exercise. So you're asking yourself, well, how much exercise do I need? For those of us who don't exercise at all, any increase in physical activity would be beneficial. However, the 2008 Physical Activity Guidelines for Americans recommends that healthy adults get a minimum of 2.5 hours of moderate intensity aerobic activity, or 1.25 hours of vigorous intensity aerobic activity, or a combination of the two. So I just raised some more questions for you, right? What's moderate and what's considered vigorous? Moderate intensity aerobic activity is any activity that creates an increase in heart rate and breathing. Now, you can monitor this with a simple test called the talk test. Now, what this is You exercise hard enough to break a sweat. However, you should still be able to carry on a conversation comfortably. Vigorous intensity aerobic activity has an increase in heartbeat and breathing, but you should still be able to carry on a conversation just with shorter sentences. Now, let's make a note of one thing. Many variables come into play when we're talking about what's moderate and what's vigorous. You have to look at age, weight, and what the current shape of the person is. So what feels like moderate to me and you might feel intense to somebody else, or vice versa. The key here is, folks, to just take that first step. You got to get started. Take that first step to a healthier lifestyle and a better you. There's an infinite amount of activities out there to choose from. You just have to find out which activities you enjoy and what works for you. You don't want your exercising to feel like a chore. Also, along with exercising, our diet plays a crucial role. Now, although we didn't dive into that portion, it's still very critical. And you should probably take a look at what you're eating and make adjustments there as needed. So, now that we have the information we need, what are we still doing sitting here? Let's go for a walk. Let's go for a run. A bike ride. Hey, let's go outside and play a good old-fashioned game of tag with the kids. The world's our playground. Let's go play.